Apple just turned OpenAI's hardware ambitions into a federal trade secret lawsuit. That is the loud story. But the quieter pattern this cycle is bigger. The AI race is moving down the stack. Not just who has the best model, who owns the hardware, who controls the memory, who gets federal review before a frontier launch, and apparently, who can prove their sourcing before they repeat a funding claim. This is depth and signal. Let's separate the substrate from the noise. On Friday, July 10th, Apple filed suit in the Northern District of California against OpenAI, I/O Products, and two former Apple employees, Chang Liu and Tang-Yu Tan. The official docket confirms the case. Apple Inc. versus Liu et al., case number 526 CV07078, filed in San Jose under the Defend Trade Secrets Act. The complaint names OpenAI Foundation, OpenAI Group PBC, I/O Products, Liu, and Tan. That part is confirmed. The rest is still Apple's allegation. Apple says Liu, a senior systems electrical engineer who spent 8 years at the company, failed to return an Apple laptop and used it to download confidential technical documents. It says Tan, a former VP of product design for iPhone and Apple Watch, used Apple project code names while recruiting for OpenAI, asked candidates to bring Apple hardware components to interviews, and coached departing staff on avoiding Apple security. Apple's framing is that the alleged scheme ran at every level, from technical staff up to OpenAI's chief hardware officer. It also says more than 400 former Apple employees now work at OpenAI, many from chip design, hardware, and on-device AI teams. OpenAI denies the trade secret framing. Its response is that it has no interest in other companies' trade secrets and is focused on building its own technology. So the careful version is this. Apple has not proven theft. Apple has filed a serious complaint with named defendants in a real federal case over OpenAI's unreleased AI hardware push. And that is why this matters. For the last 2 years, AI coverage has mostly treated the frontier as a software race. Models, benchmarks, context windows, prices. But OpenAI buying Johnny Ive's I/O in 2025 made the next phase more physical. A dedicated AI device needs industrial design, chips, sensors, power behavior, supply chains, and people who have shipped consumer hardware at scale. Apple has a lot of those people. OpenAI wants to build the object that may sit after the smartphone. This lawsuit is the hardware war becoming legal. For builders and founders, the lesson is not never hire from Apple. Talent mobility is normal. The question is, what happens when the frontier firms start hiring whole clusters of people who carry years of tacit hardware knowledge with them? Trade secret law is going to become one of the hidden operating systems of AI. Not as glamorous as a model launch, but much more expensive to ignore. The next things to watch are OpenAI's formal answer, whether Apple seeks an injunction around the device work, and whether the court seals or unseals more of the technical detail. Until then, keep the language clean. Apple alleges, OpenAI denies. The docket is real. The theft is not a finding. The second story is policy, but not the version that makes for easy headlines. Executive Order 14409 was signed on June 2, 2026. It directs federal agencies to design a voluntary framework for covered frontier models. Under that framework, a developer could ask whether a model under development meets the covered threshold, provide the government access for up to 30 days before release to other trusted partners, and coordinate early access with the government. That is the confirmed part. The EO also says this is not mandatory licensing, not pre-clearance, and not a permitting regime. That sentence matters because it is the difference between a federal review process and a release gate. Separate reporting says the White House is in final talks with OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic about how this will work. But the verification pass did not find a separate White House or NIST announcement finalizing a July agreement with those labs. So the scriptable line is, the federal government is building a voluntary frontier model review framework, and reporting says the major labs are negotiating around it. Not, the White House has finalized a binding launch regime. The threshold fight is the whole story. If covered frontier model means only the absolute top systems, this touches a handful of labs. If the threshold is lower, it can shape the release calendar for a much wider field. For anyone building near the frontier, this is release planning becoming regulatory planning. 30 days does not sound long, unless your product launch, investor update, and competitive window all depend on shipping first. Anthropic's reported participation is also worth watching, given its earlier Pentagon contract fight over autonomous weapons language. Opting into a federal framework can be safety policy. It can also be relationship repair. The sober read. The direction is real. The details are not done. Now move one layer lower, memory, power, and capital. SK Hynix raised $26.5 billion in its NASDAQ ADR debut, selling 177.9 million ADRs at $149 each. That made it the largest ever U.S. first-time share sale by a foreign company. The important number is not just the raise, it is the bottleneck. SK Hynix holds about 56% of the global high-bandwidth memory market. HBM is the stacked memory that sits next to AI accelerators and feeds them data fast enough to be useful. If GPUs are the engine, HBM is part of the fuel system. The proceeds are going toward South Korea fab expansion and EUV lithography scanners. In plain English, more capacity for the layer everyone needs and almost nobody can casually replace. This is why the public market signal matters. The durable AI margin may not sit in another chatbot interface. It may sit in the memory supply chain underneath it. Then there is Meta. Meta announced a 1 gigawatt data center in Sturgeon County, Alberta, scalable to 1.8 gigawatts, with a cost of 13 billion Canadian dollars, roughly 9.1 billion US dollars. It also lifted 2026 capex guidance to $125 billion to $145 billion, citing more expensive components and more data center spending. Reporting also says Meta wants to grow computing power from 7 gigawatts in 2026 to 14 gigawatts in 2027. Treat that as a reported internal target, not an official commitment. Still, the shape is clear. AI ambition is now measured in gigawatts. That changes the conversation. The constraint is not only, can we get more chips? It is, can we get memory, substations, land, power contracts, cooling, and financing all at the same time? The model layer may be where the demos happen. The build-out layer is where the bill arrives. Now, a useful failure. One selected candidate said SambaNova had raised $1 billion at an $11 billion valuation. That would have fit the compute competition thread nicely, an inference chip challenger with a new war chest. But the cited source did not mention SambaNova. It did not mention General Atlantic. It did not support the claimed $1 billion Series F or the $11 billion valuation. The same funding roundup did support a different AI funding story, including Baseden's $1.5 billion Series F. Different company, different claim. So this is not a SambaNova funding story. It is a sourcing story. On the Signal Thermometer, SambaNova starts at 1 out of 5. Debunked claim, watchlist open. At 1, the source mismatches the claim and no confirming credible report has surfaced. At 2, a credible report names SambaNova but lacks primary confirmation. At 3, multiple credible reports or a funding database point to the same round. At 4, the company, investor, filing, or a direct named source confirms most of it. At 5, the claim is primary confirmed or conclusively corrected and closed. That is the point of keeping a thermometer. We do not have to pretend the claim is true to keep watching it. If it firms up, the reading moves. If it collapses, the reading closes. For now, the answer is simple. No source, no story. One quick watch item for next cycle. Google's Gemini 3.5 Pro is expected July 17th, with a claimed 2 million token context window, deep think reasoning on the $250 per month Ultra tier, and API pricing around $1.25 per million input tokens. Those are vendor-sourced pre-launch numbers. Useful to track, not useful to crown. If it ships on time, the real story will be independent evals, price pressure, and whether the long context claims hold up outside the demo lane. The pattern this cycle is not one company winning AI. It is the stack getting contested at every level. Apple is trying to defend the people and secrets behind hardware. Washington is designing a review process for frontier releases. SK Hynix and Meta show the physical scale of the buildout, from HBM supply to gigawatts of compute. And the SambaNova miss is the discipline check. In a market this hot, adjacent evidence is not evidence. The next frontier story may still arrive as a model launch, but the leverage is moving underneath the model into courts, power grids, memory supply, and verification. That is where the signal is. If you want the next run to keep tracking the thermometer, the build-out, and the policy threshold, stay with depth and signal.